Kalanı iyi. Я перду.
Ее, давай 5 красавица, улыбнись, давай добро. Я предлагаю не стоять на месте, а двинуть пляс, привести движение, чистить тело, голову, руки, таз, добавляй бас.
So what is going on, guys? It is your boy Garage Gaming here, and today we will be looking at the T-80U, the highest tier Soviet MBT as of the next patch. Now, as you know from the Challenger 2 video, in case you missed it, I'm not going to be reading through the dev blog anymore because, let's face it, if you were that interested in the vehicle, you would have already have done so. If not, there are plenty of other YouTubers who will go through it for you, but I'd just like to get onto the vehicle itself. So, the interesting thing about the T-80U is it is one of the multiple steps which they could go in terms of what to add as the next Soviet tank. Keep in mind at this time during the Soviet Union's sort of build-up in the 80s going on to the 90s, they had T-72, T-64, T-80, and they were working on the T-72BM, which later became T-90. So we're looking at about 4 tanks at the moment worth of development. But T-80U is looking like the best new kid on the block, with the best armor protection out of the lot, but there will be a caveat with that, which I will go into shortly. So, how will T-80U one-up the T-80B? Well, put simply, Contact 5 and better firepower. So, Contact 5 is not like Contact 1. Contact 1 is traditional explosive reactive armor. Explosive reactive armor is very good at stopping chemical rounds, at least in the Western context. However, it was always highly ineffective at stopping kinetic rounds. This changes with Contact 5. So, as stated, Contact 5 is a dynamic explosive reactive armor. Now, the way it works is it not only performs the job of ERA as if it directs the energy of the chemical rounds away from the vehicle by creating its own explosion, but also it has these metal plates, and what it does is when struck, these plates are forced sideways somehow. I'm not sure the exact science or mechanics behind this. This is obviously something that's classified, but Contact 5 essentially moves plates, metal plates sideways when it is struck by kinetic penetrators. It essentially tries to shear the penetrators in half, and if not, it will already decrease its effectiveness anyway, since it's got to travel through more material. That's a direct quotation. I don't exactly know how that works. I can't visualize it. I don't have anything to do that with. But essentially, this will be effective against kinetic rounds, so IPFSD as projectiles as such. There is a catch though. So this tank in the game will have approximately 620, I think, 620 millimeters, I believe, of kinetic protection and 1,000 from chemical. Now, Wikipedia has a higher rating. It has around 700 kinetic and like 1,300 chemical. I probably wouldn't believe that if I were you. You want to know why? Look up Maskarovka. Or Maskarova or something like that. Russian deception, like that. It's, I wouldn't believe anything written about these tanks, actually. The thing is, this is a game. This needs to be balanced. 620 millimeters of protection from kinetic energy is already higher than anything else in the game so far. In truth, nobody but the Russian government and the people who developed this tank will actually know how effective the armor protection is. And as with everyone, they will just lie about it anyway, so there is no point in trying to speculate or pointing at a number and saying, oh, look, that might be correct. Because at the end of the day, all these top-tier main battle tanks, they're all just, beautifully represented models, but they are flawed because we don't exactly know how good they are. We just know that they're going to be better than what came before. So, yes. In addition to this, they improved the engine, so the engine is compensating for this additional weight from all this Contact 5 ERA that they've added to the thing. So yeah, pretty interesting. However, as with all ERA, we're looking at something that will be a problem for this tank. So this tank will be very effective at the start of the match, or if it's fresh, when it has its explosive reactive armor. That's when it will have its maximum protection. Once you strike the armor on this vehicle, null and void, all of a sudden its protection becomes weaker. Now, I don't know if this thing will have the same protection as, say, like the, I don't know, the T-80B, or if it has a completely new and redesigned turret. I'm not sure of that information. I'm sure someone out there actually did some research and dug this out. I don't have the time or the sources. All I can speculate is that once you shear off or remove the explosive reactive armor from this tank, it will generate a weak spot. That is how it's always been. This will basically be the way Soviet tanks operate from now on. Everything introduced from now on, like the T-72B, possibly T-90, anything like that, will have a similar mechanic to this, where the turret front and the hull covered in ERA, once that is gone, the kinetic protection and the chemical protection will go down. More importantly, the kinetic. So that is just how it will be. In terms of firepower, you're basically getting the reflex missile, which is, you know, going to operate like all gun-launched ATGMs. Essentially something that is going to swat the flies, so taking out helicopters, and, you know, that's really what I've seen most people doing with these anyway. Aside from that, that appears to mainly be it. So, you know, 1,250 horsepower. Yeah, that's the tank. Like, until it's in game, I don't know how this thing is actually going to perform. Speculating on the other tanks, until they announce them, we don't know, because they might just skip one. They've done that before. I'm guessing M1A1, Leopard 2A5, you know, Type 90 is going to be just like moved up, I think, and that's all I really know. The French might get a Leclerc prototype, maybe the Leclerc itself, I'm not entirely sure. But all I know is that there are far more Soviet tanks that can be added, especially after this vehicle, if they bother to do so, because we didn't get T-72 for a very long time. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed, and let's see how the new kid on the block performs. It's been your boy Garage Gaming, and I hope to talk to you next time.